Are you wanting to build more success for yourself? Yet it may be hard, and maybe you go back, maybe you feel like you're self-sabotaging, and there's so many internal blocks. Well, I've certainly been there. And today I'm going to share some guidance on how you can start to maybe work through this. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra special point. Now, so many times in my life have I used like willpower, just like try to push through something like I'm going to eat healthy, I'm not going to drink, I'm going to make a load of money, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, only to fall back to things like going out, drinking heavily, eating bad, or negative thoughts getting the better of me, even though those were habits I wanted to overcome. Now, the reason, like, what you want consciously can be a lot different from actually what you're programmed to do. And I'm just sharing my research, my experience from this. We have our brains got two, there's many parts of the brain, but for the purpose of this, you've got the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind is like you listening to me right now, but it's also going into the subconscious mind. So if you keep listening to something over and over, it will stick. That's what I try and do with audiobooks and people I'm around, because you're always absorbing. You've got a conscious mind, and you're consciously doing things, yet actually quite a lot of what we do day to day is driven by the subconscious, the mind that's not even thinking, the mind that's got like a lot of our beliefs. Now, if we've got beliefs like that don't necessarily serve us, it's not going to give us good behaviors as a result. Now, there are things you can do to reprogram it. Again, I'm not like a brain expert or like psychologist or anything, so this is just my own experience from the subject. There are things like hypnosis, affirmations, all those great things you can do. Honestly though, like those things are great, and I try and train it, do things like visualization, all sorts of things. Yet, and I've felt shifts. There's a lot I've learned from Joseph McClendon that's helped me start thinking a new way, reprogramming that subconscious. The best thing I found though for keeping your habits as good as possible is to put in systems in place in your life so that you subconsciously can't do maybe some of those bad habits. And what do I mean by systems? I mean things, people, accountability, certain things in your environment you can put in place to support good habits and reduce bad ones. And I'd really recommend the book Atomic Habits by James Clear if you want to understand a little bit more about what I mean. So let's give some examples to you now then. If you want to quit alcohol and you go to the pub 2 to 3 times a week to catch up with some friends, okay, maybe like a couple of times a week, you're social, nothing wrong with that. We're just talking about giving up alcohol. We're not going into alcoholism or anything here. And you're like, just going for a chat, and you're like, look, lads, I'm not drinking, right? And then you go there, maybe the first week you stick to it and say, I'm not drinking. Probably, in all honesty, by the second or maybe third week, you're going to start drinking again, just because that's the environment you're in. That willpower is not going to last. Another one. And I remember talking to a manager at work about this, and I've been guilty. I've seen it done in my own life. You want to eat well. You want to avoid that bad food, like the junk food. Remember my manager saying, I was good mates with him as well, and I'd help him with some health exercise stuff as well, because I was really into it. And I'd say, he'd say, oh, I was doing so well, but I had like a few packets of crisps that are in my flat. And I'm like, why are they in your flat? And he's like, well, I might fancy them at the weekend. Well, in that case, go out and buy 1 or 2, maybe if it's the odd treat at the weekend. If you've got bad food in your flat, your willpower or home or house or apartment, your willpower will not last. You've got to put systems in place until they're ingrained enough that you've got good habits and the subconscious programming has changed. Right. And now if you think, well, there's shops next to me. Okay, you can't do anything about a shop being there. You can like put your credit cards away. You can hide it. There's containers, there's glass containers and things like that, whereby you can limit what you're doing. You could get, if you live with someone else, you could say, look, don't let me spend this. You could be kept accountable. You could have a reward and punishment if you do it or don't do it. There's always systems you can put in place. Want to have better self-talk? Here's another one. Hanging out with people who put you down and they talk negatively about their own lives. You are not going to have good self-talk. Just being honest about it. That's why I'm always putting myself around good, uplifting people, just so I can feel good. So those are some examples of systems. Okay, so how is it helping you by perhaps having a system that doesn't support you? Okay, well, it didn't, when I've gone back into bad habits, just trying to push through willpower, it didn't help me. So here are some points you can go through. The first one, know where you want to go. Know where you want to go, right? Not what you want to avoid. You've got to be clear on the direction, else how do you know where you're going? How do you know what's a good habit or bad habit or good system, right? The second one, ask yourself this: where are the good people, communities around you? Now, in this day and age, we've got a lot of online stuff. Now, I like to be around people too, as much as possible. Yet, being on online meetings when people are upbeat, we've got similar goals and visions, that really starts having an impact on me. Allows me to grow in my business, allows me to grow emotionally, physically, in my relationships, all spiritually, all sorts of areas, right? And then the third one, what mechanisms can I put in place to support good habits and reduce bad ones? So, for example, you may have heard the classic, if you put your gym kit out in the morning all ready to go, you're more likely to go. Yeah, that's very, very true. If you put your alarm clock on the other side of the room, you're more likely to get up. If you don't have like I said, don't have bad food in your home, you're not going to have it, right? So if you have a limit on your card each week, I put a limit on my Monzo card each week, because I used to have a credit card on my debit card, and I'd just be like, swipe, 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 and then suddenly all the money goes, right? Quickly. So that's how you can start to put good systems in place to really start working through some of that subconscious programming and start building up more success as a result. Now, another one, bonus point I want to give you is to really help work. So those are the things that are going to help you, like the systems in place, make it easier. Habits got to be easy and they've got to be accessible in order for you to stick with them. And bad habits got to be really hard to do, okay? So here's something to really help reprogram your mind as well. 3 to 5 times a day or more, if you want to, just visualize what you want. Put it in your mind, get so vivid on it, because that will start pulling you towards it as well. I found that like when I've imagined like my health or my emotions, or like I'd like to make some income this month, like it's moving further towards my goals, because I'm training my subconscious what I want, and then ideas come up, opportunities come up. We won't go into the whole spiritual, like the universe delivers and stuff, and it does in my personal view. I know we've got different views. Yeah, you can train your own subconscious differently if you start visualizing regularly. So that's what I've got for you today on really building success for yourself. I appreciate you for being here. You're improving other people's lives by being the best you. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.